Let me introduce the next speaker. The title of the presentation is Volunteering for Social Emergency Social Issue Resolving Project led by Citizen VES Volunteering for Social Emergency Project. President Sónia Fernandes will make a presentation. Please welcome her.
Greetings to all of you. It's a great honor to be here with you. I'm here presenting how Pista Magica changed their mission as a result of the pandemic, but using volunteer-led projects. That was really a change in our the way that we work. Pista Magica means magic track. We are an association, and we were born as a volunteering school 14 years ago, exactly when the economic crisis burst. We didn't know if we would be sustainable, but it shows that we are after all this time being here. Our utopia is if all volunteers were adequately prepared and supported, the world would be a better place. We believe that if all volunteers have preparation and are supported adequately, they will use all their potential and improve their communities. So our initial goal was to create and share knowledge to all volunteer agents, which are NGOs, government entities, enterprises, educational organizations, based on the cumulative existing knowledge and experience, but also using social innovation to do that. So with the COVID-19, the world stopped, and it was not different here in Portugal. With the first lockdown, volunteers, although they were authorized to circulate outdoors, they were poorly engaged. And if I had to say two main reasons, it would be that we didn't have contingency plan, and we were afraid that volunteers could get COVID, could pass COVID. So it was really difficult, and we really felt frustration. All the volunteer agents felt frustration. Here we are. We believe that volunteering can make a difference, and we were restrained to be a part of the solution when so many people needed our support. So frustration can be a good feeling because it can result in action. So that's what happened. People volunteer spontaneously, have decided to be a part of the solution. Some of them integrated organizations, but some of them just organized spontaneously and went helped their communities. So this citizen-led volunteering was really helpful. And Pista Mágica was also invited to do something. So we have created two projects for elderly living alone, isolated, bringing to their houses food and medicine. And another project was an online help for children dealing with learning difficulties. And most of them were migrants, which why their parents didn't have the language skills, Portuguese, to help them doing their homework. So volunteers were youngsters, and they were the ones that made the difference in these two projects for 4 months, from April to July of 2020. These are some numbers that we can share. We have those two projects, as we can see here, and volunteer coordinators were really, really important to help organize all of these, to prepare, but also to implement and then to evaluate. And all of the volunteers, this was more than 3,000 hours of volunteering, reaching through the use of 54 volunteers and more than 1,300 hours of volunteering, helping 30 elderly and 21 families. Our evaluation was amazing. We can share this PowerPoint presentation and you can read it after. But just to share with you that through this experience, we understood that we had to change our way of acting, our organization going to the field, and not being only a volunteering school. Here we have a testimony that this was so impactful in volunteers' perspective that they felt they were part of the solution, that it changed their lives. And as a youngsters, you know, that's some main things that happens when we are young can change our lives and then determine our path and inclusive our professional path. So inclusively, the online study project received an award for the impact that they had for the support that we reached. That made a huge change in our perspective, how our mission was. So here I share with you our path. In 2019, we have created a methodology for more inclusive volunteering. And with the pandemic, we just had to go to the field and manage volunteers also online, as you saw. And last year, we started implementing projects that use volunteering as a tool for inclusion. So actually, in 2022, we have realized that inclusive volunteering it's different from volunteering as a tool for inclusion. A more inclusive volunteering should be all the projects that we manage should have in consideration that all persons can volunteer in our organization. As a volunteering as a tool for inclusion for us is when we are dealing with specific beneficiaries as people that got out of jail, that need support for social inclusion, or elderly living alone, or disabled people. So these are two ongoing projects at this moment. We have social emergency volunteering project in 5 municipalities. We have for the creation of a social emergency volunteer corps, and is to respond to the social exclusion generated or exacerbated by the pandemic, helping 600 isolated elderly and that have also mental health issues. So Voluntalent is another project, and this one is using developing talents through volunteering, using person-centered planning methodology for social inclusions through volunteering, and the beneficiaries are 30 young people over 18 with mild and moderate disabilities. And we have Carry, which is a similar project, but the beneficiaries are 30 youngsters. And they are leading volunteer projects. They understand what is better for their lives, in the sense of volunteering can be their project for the happiness project, as we say it, and they then lead volunteer projects together and with NGOs that they are matched. But I want to talk to you about this first project, the VAS project. I want to share with you an example. We are working in 5 municipalities, but one of them I can give you a specific example. We understood that 35 volunteering were working in all area, in all municipality, and they are from NGOs, and they were monitoring the well-being of 2,800 isolated elderly, but they were not enough. So what we did together with the municipality, with the city council, this was operated with them and with the NGOs, that they felt that they couldn't reach to 2,800. So we got to the conclusion if they got training in volunteer management, then could be volunteer manager of these volunteers that we are now engaging, and they are elderly volunteers. So these are people that most of them live alone, and they are starting doing peer volunteering. So elderly volunteers will be helping these 200 and 800 isolated elderly in Guimarães, and they wanted to be a part of the solution. So for sure, with 30 volunteers that were trying to run to their houses and were not being able and were being felt frustrated because they couldn't reach all, now we have found together a way that we can reach all of them gradually, and the main conclusion that we will draw from what we are doing here, we are doing different kind of citizen-led volunteering in the other 4, and in the 5, and in the other municipalities that we are working. We understand that when we are beneficiaries and only beneficiaries, we are in a passive state of mind. We have a passive voice. We are receiving help. As when we are active in the solution of the community, but also our problems, we are leaders. We are empowered to make the change. And this is not a relationship of solving the problems in a vertical way, that someone comes to me and helps me, but I am a part of the solution in my community. And even though if I am in a vulnerable situation, as the volunteers, the elderly volunteers, that they are in a good health, and they say, I want to be a volunteer, going to the houses of these elderly that are isolated and are in their beds and need company. So this is a brief presentation of how citizen-led volunteering can make a difference, not only in the community as a whole, but in a volunteer that is also in a vulnerable or is close to get to a vulnerable situation. Thank you so much for listening to me, and I hope to see you soon, and who knows, in Korea.
네, 피스타 마지카의
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We have listened to the cases of volunteering in the pandemic situation, how they overcame the fear of the pandemic and practiced the citizen-led activities in the case of Portugal. I believe that this COVID-19 crisis has been turned into another chance of opportunity